Hello, my fellow imps. Welcome to Simister. I'm China, and today for the new year, I am bringing you a nightclub speed build. This was slightly inspired by something I saw on TV or a movie. Honestly, I don't remember which, but there was a nightclub, and it was quite nice upstairs, but then downstairs it got a little seedy. There were bedrooms where people were doing things, and the toilets were down there, and people were having fights and everything. It had to have been a movie I saw it from, but that's what slightly inspired this downstairs. Obviously, your Sims could come down here and sleep, have a little nap if they want to stay out all night. It can be quite annoying when you have a Sim and you're trying to do something and they're tired and there's nowhere to go to have a nap, or you've got to go home because of it or something like that. So I thought it would be convenient anyway, and it'd be a bit of a throwback to that this nightclub, although up and coming, is just a little on the dark side as well. Of course, in the movie or TV show that I saw this in, it was far dingier, and there were red lights everywhere, and it was not some place you wanted to be found. Honestly, this one's just clean. It's not nearly as fancy as the nightclub upstairs. The nightclub upstairs is definitely far more high class than down here. So, but I also thought it sort of fit well. I mean, down here is basically just for necessity. It's really meant for going to the bathroom and washing your hands and taking a nap if you need to. If your Sim happens to find somebody on the dance floor that they like a lot, you could do other things in that bedroom if you wanted. But I just thought it would be nice that, because I actually do have a Sim that loves to party, and it can be hard sometimes when I'm trying to do a storyline with them and I want them to be out all night. It can get really hard without cheats to actually keep them out all night without them collapsing from exhaustion. So I thought in all, I thought it would be a good idea for this nightclub. And so we're in the bathroom right now. Again, it's very plain. There's not a lot to it. I was initially going to have more counter space, but I thought it just didn't fit, so I just kept it simple. Now up here, we're actually up to where the main nightclub is going to be. The nightclub, if you haven't noticed already, is called 2020 because this is a speed build with the idea that, it's the new year, got a nightclub, people are going to go party. So it was actually my husband's idea to name it 2020. I had gone with something different. I think it was, had I gone with? Cobalt Room, I think. I think that's what it was. But I'm glad he made that suggestion. I thought it was a really good suggestion, especially since in the Sims game itself, there's actually already a lounge type area called the Blue Velvet, I believe it is. And so it's probably best that my nightclub not be named something somewhat similar to one that already exists. So that's what I thought. That was 2020. It was just a really good name, so we went with that. And this nightclub does have 3 bars. It is a shame that in the game only one bartender is going to spawn on a lot at a time. There will be more that come in between shifts and that sort of thing, but I sort of wish you could have all 3 bars or 2 bars or whatever it is you have actually have a bartender at each. it's, in my opinion, that makes it a bit more realistic, especially for a place that is, like a nightclub. If it's just a small bar somewhere, that's one thing, but this place is intended to have a lot of Sims there, all the time, and it would have been nice to actually have all three bars attended by a mixologist. There is supposedly an app. I did do some research online when I got this idea to build this, that there is a mod out there that will allow you to hire more than one person on a lot for this sort of thing. That there's several different services that you can use this mod for. I haven't actually tested it out yet, and if I do, though, I may make a video for you to see how it works. Unfortunately, with the new patch that just came out earlier this month, there are a number of mods that haven't been updated yet. So this one, not even sure if it's still updated or not, so I'll have to check that out. But if it does work, that would be awesome. I would absolutely love it for things like this, because it can be really annoying when you're at a bar or something like this and there's only one bartender, and this is true in real life as well, and you've got a busy place and you've got 20 people standing at the bar trying to get a drink from one person. It's annoying both in real life, and it's annoying here. It seems to take forever for your Sims to actually get a drink. So I'm hoping that mod will work out, because I may end up using it, because I did end up really liking this nightclub, and I may want to try to use it in game myself. And it would be great if I could have 3 mixologists. So I also tried to put in a couple of different things for your Sims to do while they're here. That's also why I put in the bubble machines there off to the side, because I thought, yeah, it's a nightclub and its main purpose is, for dancing or drinking, but I wanted something a little bit extra, and so I thought bubble machines, having your Sims a little dazed while there, might be quite appropriate. Ignore the vending machine, by the way, because for whatever reason, my brain just was not switched on when I put that in there, because I, for some reason, totally forgot that the bars themselves will serve food. So just ignore it. It's in the build for most of the time, and I don't end up taking it out until near the end. So I don't know, it's just a brain glitch, so you can just ignore it for now. This is Maddox, actually, one of my Sims. He's the Sim that I use in my build save, and he likes to come in and test everything. He's one of my favorite Sims, actually. So you'll probably see him in a lot of my speed builds, even though this is only my first successful recording of a speed build. If you watched my first video, you'll hear the story of how I did a speed build recording and ended up losing the recording when my program just crapped out on me. That was not fun. So this one's my first successful recording, editing, and hopefully posting once I get this done, speed build. So yay me. But you'll see him a lot more, because he is the only Sim I have in my build save file. So here I am just trying to find the right neon lights. Most of the neon lights I didn't care for. These ones I felt were far more appropriate for this nightclub. And my honey bunny actually suggested having all the mirrors in here. I was going to have some. I was mainly going to have them just behind the bar, but he suggested, you should have mirrors everywhere. And I thought, yeah, actually, it's a really good idea, and it turned out really well. I thought it just opened the space up a bit. It helped with the lighting as well. So it was nice. I ended up really liking having all those mirrors there. And here I'm trying to get this wall decoration on this wall in the little hallway. That's the one thing about having small hallways, because this hallway is only 1 square wide, just enough for the Sims to go up and down the stairs. But the problem is anytime you're trying to work with something, especially on walls and things right there, it just doesn't want to cooperate. That was very annoying. But I actually end up changing out the dance floors in this too. Well, I don't change them out. I changed their style a little bit as well. So there will be a couple things later on that will shift around. And here I'm just trying to accent this wall because that side of the club just seemed empty and it wasn't working for me. I tend to be OCD. I don't like a lot of empty spaces. And I ended up trying the spotlights inside, but they just didn't work. Thought it'd be cool if we could have them inside. But they didn't work. So then I was trying to figure out what am I going to do with these corners, because again, those corners were just looking a little bare for my liking, and I didn't like it. So I ended up doing these strip lightings, and it actually worked out really well and became one of the better parts of the build, I thought, was these little corners. You'll see I also put a water feature there, which worked really nice despite the fact there was already stuff on the walls, because sometimes they don't work very well. So I really liked that. I thought they came together very nicely. And I do go through and change the light colors throughout the build. Most of them will give off a blue aura, and this was in line with the idea of like the cobalt room. Plus blue's like one of my favorite colors. That and black. Blue and black. Can't go wrong. But I thought it also gave it a nice warm feeling to have that blue there. So I was going through and doing this, which was tedious to say the least. And if you ever do this, and I'm sure there were probably a number of you that do, but as a tip for new builders, if you ever want to change the lights intensity or color, be sure you hit the right buttons when you do this, because I don't know how many times in some of my other builds, including the build that I did for the last video, where I've accidentally hit the wrong button and I've changed the intensity or the color for all the lights, and all the work I had already gone through to change individual lights was lost. Now with these lights here at the back behind the DJ desk here, they're actually lava lamps in 3 different sizes. And the only one that is still the normal size is the littlest one there. And initially I had the lava lamps on, but unfortunately the 2 larger sizes of the lava lamps, the actual lava bit of them did not go larger with the shell itself. And there are a few items that do that. So I ended up turning them off and then placing in those long lights to give them their glow instead of the light from the actual lava lamp itself, because it just seemed weird, like just to have them sitting there without light. Now here I am putting in the effects, the special effects rigs here on the ceiling, because I wanted something a little bit more, not just the laser lights and, you know, the floor. I actually wanted something just a bit more. And I remember the club that I had gone to years ago, they actually had like confetti and that sort of thing that sometimes would be thrown out into the crowd and that sort of thing, and I thought it would be kind of nice if we had something like that, and I actually really liked the way it ended up turning out. Thought it looked really nice, so that's what I did there. You'll just have to go in when you download this, or if you want to use it, you'll have to go in and you'll have to set the effects that you want that to use, because unfortunately it doesn't seem to want to save it itself. I kind of wish you could just set it and leave it until you wanted to change it again, but it doesn't work that way. I kept having to go back in there every time I was trying to check something and turn them all back on to the one that I wanted. So I liked the sparkles the best coming from the effects, but the confetti looked really good as well. So here we're up to the actual ground level. of the underground nightclub. And I actually really liked the entrance to this. Like, you've got the dance floors on the sides, which the Sims won't be able to get to because I fenced it off. But it was nice, I thought, you know, as you're coming into the club, you can see what's happening below before you even get there. So that's what I did with there, and you've got this nice hallway, and I end up putting just a decorative feature at the end. You can see here I've got the corner seats initially because I thought it might be nice to have them there, and then I thought, no, that's not what this is for. You know, the club and there is downstairs and there's seats downstairs, and I don't want Sims just randomly sitting up here. That's not the point. So I ended up just putting a feature down at the end of the hallway as you're walking in. That's just got this like nice, you know, I don't know what you would call it. It's not really a feature wall, but it's just a nice little feature at the end as you're coming in. Like, you kind of feel like, ooh, you know, get your excitement going. It looks nice, and so that's what I went with instead, and I think it turned out very well. I ended up changing the light colors in here as well. Excuse me. Because initially I was just going to leave the large chandeliers all on white, but then I just ended up changing all of them to blue except for one. So you've got mostly blue, and then scattered throughout is just a nice white light. Now outside here, I did sort of the same thing that I did in the corner of the nightclub downstairs. And this worked out quite well as well as I thought it would as well. That did not make any sense. It worked out nicely. Let's put it that way. So here we're just doing the outside, and I ended up I still had seasons on, and I shouldn't have, because eventually you'll see later on in the video that we suddenly go from snow to green grass, and that's because I finally got annoyed when I was doing the building and the work outside. It was getting annoying with the snow. And I know there's a mod to fix that, and I keep meaning to get it, but I keep forgetting. And so, yeah, that's what's happening here. There's a lot of snow. There's a lot of snow. And here I'm just trying to light up the roof a little bit more. I ended up scrapping the idea and doing something slightly different towards the end of the video, because these lights weren't really, you couldn't really tell they were there. You know, it was just, not unless you were looking at it down from the top. It just couldn't really see anything up there, and I thought, well, they're pointless having them there at this. And I ended up doing spotlights at the end anyway, so it didn't really matter. And here I do change. See, I just changed those a little bit because I ended up being, the club was sort of black and blue, again my two favorite colors, so that's what I went with. And here I also changed those little square, I think, where are they from? Is it Spa Day? I can't remember now, but yeah, little square lights I changed as well, because again, they weren't really giving off the right vibe. It was hard to see that they were even on, so I just got rid of them. And I added a couple of those cute little lamps to the tables as well, and here I am getting rid of those little square lights, and I ended up just putting them in there. I thought that worked out better anyway, matched a little more to the wall or the room divide that I had placed up against the mirror. And I did put some rugs in. I did feel that the floor where those tables and the bubble machines were was just a little flat, and I thought the rugs just added just a bit more that made it a little bit nicer, kind of tied it all in. You can tell that it's separate, you know, that's where you sit and talk, or that's where you blow bubbles, but it also tied it in with everything else. Now out here I've started, you can see the green now, there's green everywhere. I've started the outside. I didn't do a whole lot with the outside. I did do quite a bit, but there's still quite a bit of space on the lot. That's the only issue with doing something like this that I tend to have is I'm not sure what to do with the top part of an underground anything, whether it's a house or a nightclub, because if you saw earlier that it's just a box. It's just this little box sitting on this lot. Like there's nothing to it. And I didn't really necessarily want to give it a whole bunch of landscaping, like a whole bunch of plants and things like that, because I didn't really have any plants in the club. I do give this some plants right around the outside, but I didn't want to do a whole lot of gardens and trees everywhere. So I thought, first of all, it's not going to tie in with the club itself because there are no other plants. There are no plants actually inside the nightclub. So I just tried to add a little something to the outside. So if you do download this, there will be still a bit of extra space around it. So if you wanted to, you could add to it or expand the top or just leave it as is. I actually think it doesn't look too bad as is. It's just not quite as full as some lots might be when it comes to, landscaping and what you see above ground. I still like the way it turned out, though. I think it still fits quite well with this. So I'm just putting in the water features here as well. And I just love those wall water features. I also love those fountain geysers as well. They worked out really well. Now here, I had sized up this blue bush, and it did end up clipping inside the club, but I actually ended up working with that. I thought it looked really nice coming in through the wall of the club right there. And so I ended up leaving it like that and adjusting it slightly with something else that I ended up doing on the inside hallway there. So here I'm just trying to get things organized. I was trying to pick out some trees, but I looked at the lantern ones, but they just weren't quite what I was looking for. And so once again, Honey Bunny Boo, he suggested these palms here, or no, they're ferns. Those are the ferns, I believe. Tree ferns, I believe it is. And they actually turned out quite nice, just as a little bit of accent. So this underground nightclub seems like something that could very well be like in LA, And so those ferns, although they look like palms to me, worked out very well with that. And so here I'm just adding some neon trees to the wall, and I end up moving the bushes a little bit more so that they clip through even more than they did previously. And I thought it kind of made it look like it was meant to, because you've got the neon trees on the wall and then the real bush coming through it, and it kind of looks like it was meant to grow like that. So it ended up looking quite nice. And I'm just right now kind of fiddling a little bit with the outside and trying to get the last little few things here and there. And this is where I ended up putting spotlights on the roof to just highlight it a little bit more. I had considered spotlights earlier, but then decided against it. But I ended up putting them up there anyway. And there, see, I just got rid of the vending machine and put in some extra lights to fill that space. And I did shrink the special effects machines so they would fit inside the chandeliers that are down over the dance floor, because I thought it was nice to have the chandeliers as the accent instead of having these big special effects machines up there. So yeah, that's it. That is the Underground Nightclub 2020. So I hope you enjoyed this and you all have a happy and safe New Year's and a wonderful 2020. And I hope to see you again. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment and share and do whatever it is you like to do. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.